Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Can you tell us where we are?
Yeah, so we are at the new Ford Experience Center in Dearborn, Michigan. It just recently opened in April.
What's your role in it?
I am the Global Design and Brand Manager for Ford Motor Company's, we call it the Built Environment Studio. So anything architecture, we design and curate the experiences for.
So it's very interesting because I'm sure your role has had to take on new shapes and new scope during the pandemic. How was your own process of reshaping your role during the pandemic?
You know, during the pandemic, we kind of had to take on this new lens of human science, really understanding, given all that we were going through, we really wanted to understand people's psychological states, understanding that the whole world is going through something most of us haven't gone through before. And so from the customer perspective or the employee perspective, there were a lot of, new behaviors and new idiosyncrasies, that we're going to have to adjust to. So a little bit of more of a data scientist, human scientist, empathy-led, just kind of shaping it to be more human than ever before.
Yeah. Was it something your team could handle on its own, or did you invite and hired external parties?
Yeah, so the methodology was kind of born within, but the expertise we brought in from the outside. And so when we were considering what the future of work looked like, we actually conducted a think tank. And we brought in HKS, which it has a research department within it. So we invited their internal group of behavioral scientists and psychologists and researchers in to really help us through this process. And in our think tank, we invited in 50 industry experts from various fields of study. So we invited neurosurgeons and psychologists and doctors, medical professionals. We had a woman from NASA that joined us because we believe that there's power and perspectives different than your own. And so we knew with such a big problem in a world that was rapidly changing that we didn't have the expertise to solve this question internally. And so we conducted a think tank. And out of that, we got 9 guiding principles, which really shaped our future of work, our workplace policies, and really how we do business today.
This is exactly how Ford caught my attention, because Ford was allowing more autonomy and flexibility to all their employees across departments, including people working in manufacturing plants. That was a big wow moment.
Yeah.
And Ford was more forward thinking and saying, like, we're going to try to give as much autonomy as the job allows. Was it part of that think tank, like a consequence of that think tank?
Yeah, some of the principles that came out of it was things like easy to be a Ford employee and no stigma in remote work. And so equity of experience for us meant allowing employees to do their best work wherever it fit them best. So to us, that's equity. You get to choose what works best for you. And so our work from anywhere policy has been a huge, I think, culture shift for us, and really getting that reciprocity of trust between employer and employee, and really having that trust be built on a foundation that is really enabling people to be their best selves.
And I love that you brought the trust in, because that's something that we experienced before the pandemic. There would be amazing offices, amazing amenities, but you didn't have the trust to actually leave your desk or work from anywhere, work from home. Was it something that you experienced at Ford? And how did you shift the mentality?
Yeah. So we've been designing workplaces now, new workplaces, since about 2016, 2017. And so as we were, doing this in a pre-COVID world, it was very difficult to shift the long established, manufacturing engineering mindset of that work can happen in a community space or in a cafe or at a sofa. And, these casual collisions and conversations and the amount of innovation that comes from that, it was a hard sell. And so as people were forced then to, maybe they didn't have their home office set up and it was couch is my only option as I start out. That mindset we've seen shift dramatically. In our Ford Experience Center on the ground floor, we have these alcoves, carved into the side of the walls, and we see people there working all the time. And so it has been a dramatic shift, I think, in not only behavior, but then the trust that comes out of that behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you told me that last week you opened a new office in Atlanta, right? How does design change compared to the one you were designing in 2016, 2017?
Yeah, so the study of anthropology kind of couples with neurology and psychology for us at Ford. And so getting that holistic picture of how do people take in information and perceive their environment, then what is their behavioral output of that, and then, the study of groups and different people that might flex through the space over time, or the communities that we're within. So what are the demographics that will be working in this office, and how can we tell our story in a way that will resonate?
Has it been an increase in wellness-focused area or wellness-focused discipline during the pandemic at Ford?
Yeah, so just this year, my team has started to do a lot of research in the wellness area, knowing that wellness has increased in people's lives. That sense of, I want to choose what type of wellness, I want to choose when I engage in wellness, mental health, and also understanding that we have a really diverse workforce. And so what does that look like through the lens of a woman, going from, maybe not having a child to having a child to, postmenopausal. How does that, aging in the workplace almost happen, and what do we need from a wellness perspective to support our employees? So a bigger focus on wellness for us this year for sure, and maybe some new strategies coming next year.
And that's something that really resonates with a lot of companies right now, is that our spaces are going to accommodate 4 or 5 different generations of workers. How do we make a space modular or flexible enough, or having a diverse array of options so people click and find what they need?
Yeah.
That, I'm sure it's also a challenge for you as you design. How do we push the walls? How do we play around? What are your tools that you use? Is it mostly furniture? Is it maybe the colors? The white here is really intense in the sense that it feels warm.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things as we were designing the space and showing the renderings. People were like, I don't know, it's a lot of white. But then once you come in, it feels incredibly warm.
Exactly.
And so I think our balance to date has really been around clean, timeless architecture, then layering on top, neutral, natural materials. So you'll see a lot of the oaks, a lot of woods, a lot of natural stones, greenery, to really make sure that the space feels timeless, calm, and that it will age, as our workforce ages, in a very graceful way.
I think something else that is noticeable is the curve and the rounded shape, which are today now more recognized as something that is feminine, but not to appeal to feminine audience, but feminine in the sense that it has that mother-like design. And that's what we feel here.
Yeah.
Did you feel any inspiration playing with the white, the curve? I can think of Apple campus right now when I think about the glasses, the round shape.
Yeah.
What did you have other inspiration?
I mean, we utilize our brand purpose for a lot of our inspiration. So, when we really dissect our purpose statement, we have 3 key pillars of human, mobility, and sustainability. And so when we tug on the human aspect, really making sure that people feel nurtured and cared for. And so the warmth and the curves and the softness of the facility really help tell that story. And then there's also, the sustainability and innovation. So, the edge lighting and all of the layers of what this facility has to offer, really to tell that story of innovation and forward thinking that the company is going through right now.
Have you ever felt that sustainability had to conflict with human science, or were they actually working hand in hand?
I think they're the same, to be honest. When we talk about sustainability internally, it's really not only about planet, but also about people and about human wellness. And so sustainability for us kind of filters through that same lens of human wellness.
Are you finding that your team is going more into experiential design, trying out and see how people react? Or are you going full on when you have a strong assumption about something?
Yeah, I mean, we believe that design is iterative, and it's highly unlikely that you'll get it right the first time. So always having that period of not only internal feedback before it launches to make sure we're getting a diverse perspective, but doing a pilot, getting sensor data and feedback, and then adjusting before we roll it out globally. So that testing period is an integral part of our design process.
So what I'm hearing is also getting the buy-in from the audience.
Yes.
That's why that's a pilot. We're trying it out. Please give us
Yeah.
feedback so we know what's working, what's not working.
Yep, pilots, focus groups. I think no matter what we do or where we move, I think making people feel a part of the journey also helps adoption and culture. So always looking for feedback from employees.
Amazing. Julia, that was an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
agree.
sharing.
Absolutely.